Mobility has always been more than movement. It has fueled freedom, forged connections, powered commerce, and driven progress throughout history. Moving Minds is a series about the people behind the systems, the visionaries, experts, and builders shaping the future of how we move. These are voices that often remain within specialist circles, yet their decisions quietly shape the systems we all depend on. Our mission is simple: to bring their stories, insights, and experiences to the wider mobility industry, giving stage to the thinking and decisions that will define the future of mobility.
Welcome back to Moving Minds, the series where we explore the minds powering, securing, and reshaping the future of mobility. My guest today is someone whose career has profoundly influenced how technology, data, and innovation come together to move industries forward. Dr. Martin Hofmann, welcome.
Thank you for inviting me. It's an honor.
Martin, you're probably best known for your time as a Group CIO at Volkswagen, where you led one of the most complex IT organizations in the world and laid out the foundation for the company's digital and software transformation. I understand you also helped drive initiatives that redefine how vehicles are developed, produced, and connected long before software-defined became the buzzword it is today. So after Volkswagen, you joined Salesforce as a senior vice president, and you brought together your deep automotive expertise and the cloud-first mindset to accelerate digital transformation for global enterprises. And more recently, you have been shaping the next wave of mobility through roles such as CTO at Volta Trucks, advisory investor in technology scale-ups, board member, mentorship to several companies driving electrification, connectivity, and last but not least, AI adoption across the mobility ecosystem. Now, in this episode, we'll talk about the leading transformation at scale that bridges the gap between traditional OEMs and also digital native startups, and what the future of connected and electric mobility looks like through your personal lenses. Again, Martin, it's an honor to have you here. Welcome to Moving Minds.
Thank you, Giuseppe.
Okay, let's jump in to the questions. So, what is it that first drew you into the world of mobility, automotive, and how did you then end up in the roles that you had in?
The question is how far you want to go back, right? I mean, if I go back all the way, I grew up 5 kilometers away from Hockenheim Ring. And it was the early 70s. I was 6 or 7 years old. And on a Saturday morning, you had the testing and the qualification races. And the Formula One Grand Prix was on Sunday. And it was always in summer, we had coffee in the backyard of my parents' house. And you heard the cars, right? So a year later, I was 8 years old with my friends on a bicycle. I would never allow that to my son, but we did that. So we drove to Hockenheim Ring, went under the fence, and we saw Formula One. So I was crazy about Formula One as a child, and that's where I fell in love with cars. And by the way, Ferrari was always my favorite brand. That's how it all started to really spark my love for vehicles, for cars.
Great. And what is it then about the work that later on you did with the companies, also the mentorship, et cetera, that gave you, or maybe still give you, a sort of a purpose and lasting impact?
I mean, I have to add my second passion, which is technology, right? One is cars and everything around the car, which is it's a specific part of technology. But information technology, I funded my studies by building and selling PCs in the 80s, right? So didn't make a lot of money because my volumes were too low. But from that moment on, I mean, it was always a world together, cars and information technology. And I was hired by EDS in the early 90s to work on GM in Detroit, where the idea was how to use advanced technology to improve automotive industry. So from very early on, from day one, when I started my professional career, it was always the combination of IT and cars.
Yeah, I think that's the sweet spot of your journey anyway. So can you share then something about those jobs and those roles that maybe most people, even in the industry, would be surprised to learn?
Yeah, I mean, it was 1995 is the year when Jeff Bezos started selling books on the internet. And in that year, in September, I remember I did my first order. I lived in the United States for 5 years at that time. And I ordered my first book on Amazon in 95 in September. And it was amazing. It was delivered 4 or 5 days later. The same week, we got a call from General Motors from Detroit. And EDS, we were the IT service provider of choice for GM. And they said, what Bezos does with books, how can we do that with automotive components? The suppliers and us are connected, and we order from suppliers. So we built in 95 with really, it was horrible technology. It was at the early beginnings of the internet. The IP protocol was just being defined. It was non-robust, crashed the whole time. So we were sending the first advanced shipping notifications, ASNs, from GM to suppliers using the brand new internet, right? So this was the first time where technology really made a difference. And from that moment on, we know the story where the internet went. But this was pioneering work. It was very, very early. We were pushing the boundaries to the limit. We were failing so many times, but we knew that this is if we make it happen, it's gonna change the world in that segment. And it really did. Well, that was a fun time.
Yeah, it's really interesting because many of our guests, they share the early days for what today we give as a given, as a granted, and back then it was all pioneering, how to leverage technology that was kind of revolutionizing. So it's really interesting that this is something that is in common with all the conversations I have. Now, let's look at today's reality. So in your view, what's maybe the most misunderstood challenge in mobility or automotive, if there is one?
I mean, there are many challenges right now. It depends on from whose perspective you're looking at. If you look from a European perspective, European OEMs, we have China as a new competitor in the market, and we don't have to go into all the details. We know the stories and the challenges with a highly competitive worldwide political system, and incredible players, incredible Chinese companies now competing for customers. The second thing is the entire situation about transforming to batteries, right? That's the second thing. But what I want to get into is automotive industry has always ignored the fact that technology is moving people. And when I say technology, I mean IT is moving people. So software, who needs that, right? So this was always pushed away. I'm very positive that Europeans and anyone else, OEM traditional, is not worse in developing software than any other competitor around the world. We are all on the same level. We all cook with water. That's what we call it. We cook with water. But the mindset is different. Still today, when I look at OEMs, automotive companies, and it also with cybersecurity, this is always an afterthought. Information technology is a necessary evil you need to do. It's a cost factor. CIOs in Europe report to the CFO. How sick is that? And this really tells you the mindset. If the CIO and technology people report to the CEO, who, by the way, himself is a software person, then of course you have a very different conversation. This is the biggest challenge. It's deep mindset. And the last thing is, if you look how we train engineers today, still today, mechanical, electrical engineers follow the sequential Y model. It's called the Y model, where you go sequentially through requirements and solutions and through gates and milestones. Whereas, as we all know, in software and information technology, it's iterative. So we still train today the next generation of engineers the same way we did 30, 40 years ago. So these two worlds will not meet. And if we don't change fundamentally the mindset. And so yeah, our industry, my old one, is doomed if they don't manage to change the attitude and the mindset. And maybe you need a whole generation of new people to do that. I don't know.
And that's not just a phenomena in Europe, right? This is across the
Exactly.
board. Although you mentioned Chinese OEMs, I mean, there are vendors out there that maybe 2, 3 years ago were not known for selling vehicles. Now they do. So
Exactly.
yeah,
And if you look at some of those companies, and they are not, they don't come with a automotive background and history. They are
right.
software people and technologists, right? So they learned how to build vehicles. So though they come with a different mindset, and you see immediately the difference and the impact. So yeah, again, it's not better or worse. It's not about better people or more educated, or it's not the case. It's attitude and mindset.
Yeah, and that's also something in common that we hear here. So what would you say then are the most important or maybe even undervalued drivers in our industry beyond what you just said?
I mean, if you look at mechanical engineer, when they build a vehicle, and the moment the vehicle has SOP and goes into the market and production, they immediately start working on the next generation of the same vehicle. Like the VW Golf 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, when the Golf 7 hits the market, the same team continues on working on the 8. They already know what they can do better, right? It's incremental improvement and doing things better, which is great. So I think the driver is to really start from scratch, to say if the Golf 8 was successful, then to just take the Golf as an example, right? I'm not making an advertisement for VW, but it could be any other vehicle. So how could the 9 be completely different? And what could be different? Not the wheels. We need 4 wheels, right? We know that, right? And not the core components, but how people feel in the car, how they experience it. So if we think from that perspective, I think that's how to approach it. And this is so difficult if you're in your sequential process over generations to break that. And that needs to change. To rethink it, think it differently. The Golf 9 will be not completely different than the 8, but there will be concepts in there that are completely different, could be completely different.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. Now, if we look at your journey, you have been on many sides. So you have been on the OEM side. You have through the lenses of the customers, suppliers, technology, etc., IT, in many, many ways. So what would you say? How has your role, the roles that you had in those company, evolved in the last 3, 5, maybe 10 years?
Well, I think it depends on how you define your own role. I mean, there are several ways, again, no right or wrong, how to define your role. What I tried for myself was always to be the advocate, to push to the maximum from an innovation standpoint. Always understanding at the end of the day, you have to deliver. That's clear. There's no excuses for not delivering. But that's not enough. Delivering is not enough. It's to push the boundary till it breaks. And that's when we went into AI. I remember in 2014, we built this data labs in Munich and worked on heavy AI stuff to improve the business of VW in many areas. We did a quantum computing project with the city of Lisbon to steer buses through a quantum computer, eliminating traffic jams and travel time by 30%. So with the result, so breaking it and using technology to the maximum, and also to spark and inspire people in the organization to think differently. Not saying to throw away everything you've done in the past, but open a new track that is completely different. And this is driven by super advanced technology, and you have to take it to the maximum. I mean, I admire Elon Musk aiming for Mars. And aiming for Mars means he built a rocket that can land itself, again, first time in history. So that is a result because the picture, the vision he drew, and the pushiness to the boundary is so rough. And that's what I'm advocating. And that's how I define my role. I have to be that person. If I'm responsible for it, I have to make sure that my company is not missing on any new technology. If so, fire me.
Raise the bar would be
Yes.
kind of the summary. Raise it and try to go as deep into that direction. Now, you talked about mindset of the industry. I would be curious to maybe hear from the mindset of Martin. What is it that you relied upon or still rely upon when things are uncertain or maybe even overwhelming? And I'm sure there must have been times being in those big organization, complex organization, where you might have had that feeling.
That's a very good point. I mean, this is hitting many, many moments of despair, right? So by the end of the day, you can call someone like me a high flyer, right? If someone is pushing the boundaries, there are many people who say, oh my God, this guy is so far away. But at the same time, I think one of my core strengths, I'm super structured. I can take a topic and structure it in a way and detail it in a way that you can follow it through and then do something with it. By the end of the day, it becomes a project plan or a roadmap. So being super structured when you need to be, right? So this is my last resort. When things go wrong, I switch. So forget about painting the future, structure it. And also the way you speak, the clarity you get across needs to be structured, that people understand. So this is my method, my toolbox that I'm using, especially in those moments that you just outlined.
Hmm. Yeah, so in that regard, then, when you think about the impacts that you've had, no matter if it was a big one or a small one, what is it that you are most proud of?
I mean, if I was able to convince people to go down the same path, and when I look back, let me look at VW a little bit, and I'm very positive how VW is developing, and also the IT organization is an incredible jump in the last couple of years since I've left. Really amazing. So, and I still see some of my handwriting, and that's basically what you're referring to. And these are the thousands of people now new on board in India, in Portugal, in Berlin, in Barcelona, in Wolfsburg as well, developing software for the company, not the vehicle. I was never responsible for the vehicle. I was for software for all the rest. So those people creating software that inspire people. That so they have this mindset, right? They're curious, they're experimenting, and they are at the forefront of technology. And those are the most, I would say, exciting organizational units in the company. They are rethinking. At the same time, they have to deliver hardcore applications, apps for customers, for example, to do the business better, robots, and all of that. So this is, I think, what I'm most proud of, that people are still inspired and took that and developed it further. They took it to the next level after me, right? So. And so your baby is living and is growing up and even better than you did it. So that's what makes me happy.
Leaving a legacy at the end. It's something that is lasting.
But not in stone. So because a legacy in stone means nothing, but to make it even better, right? So I'm not jealous. It does the opposite. It makes me proud to see that this is progressing. Yeah, that makes me really happy.
That's great. And now the next question is about AI. And obviously, I know how passionate you are about this topic. And I also understand that you are writing a book about it. So how do you see has AI impacted, or the early days of AI impacted your role? And have AI tools that are out there now, do they change your perspective about what's going on in the mobility space?
In 2014 is when I started with VW to build the data labs in Munich, and we brought on board one of the most renowned professors from Technical University in Munich with a few people. So we even hired academics in that team, and we were focusing on machine learning, predicting scenarios for VW in sales, in marketing, customer churn, downtime of a factory, supply chain anomalies. So machine learning was where we started. If I look at it now, it's a different ballgame. And you mentioned my book, The Agentic Enterprise, coming out in January, hopefully next year. It's about transforming an entire organization where AI elevates the human work, where you offload all of that work to agents and doing analysis, doing forecasting, using machine learning, but executing, doing the job for you, looking at the supply chain, finding an anomaly, doing a replanning, and then update all the systems and just do it, ordering automatically. And you as a human being, you are not the human in the loop, you are the expert in the loop. It elevates you to because you're overseeing that. And you think about new scenarios and optimization and how to deploy differently. So you are the orchestrator of it. So you become you elevate the human being to an expert level. And this excites me extremely because it gets a lot of productivity done. This is a productivity game, but also it gives human beings, experts, and a new level of authority, of competency. And so I see it super positive. I know all the critical discussions around it, and I don't avoid them, right? But by the end of the day, if we do it right, this is the biggest move that we've seen probably in technology history in the last 50, 60 years, besides the internet, that we are right now at.
So it's not AI versus humanity, it's AI plus humanity. Despite the fact that, these days you read in the media about it, a lot of layoffs in the industry, but that's probably due to other types of uncertainties. It's probably not because of the innovation.
Absolutely. I mean, just one example, if you look at the big techs laying off 30,000 people, at the same time they invest billions in infrastructure. So it's a shift from OPEX to CAPEX. It has nothing to do with AI. It's a business decision, right or wrong. So there's no proof at this stage that AI is eliminating more jobs than it creates. However, I mean, there's always this discussion to be had, and there are some jobs who suffer and some other that benefit. But I think for enterprise, for automotive industry, this is the biggest, I would say, first of all, performance boost that it can get. And the second is quality and expertise, boosting that, becoming better in what you do, more educated, better scenarios, right? And so I see it optimistically.
Yeah, you mentioned the elevation of skills in the context of AI, so that the human will be elevated. How do we deal with getting started to get the experience so that you can elevate the knowledge, the education in the first place?
I think you just said it. I mean, educating, we were never really good, right? And especially we technologists always took it for granted. Oh, if I get it, they get it too, right? That's not the case. You're right. You have to give people, it's hand-holding and guide them through for training. So for example, many people are using ChatGPT at home, right? So people can also, many don't know, build their own first agent in a simplistic way. You can build your own agent doing your email tomorrow. You can do that. I can do that. And this comes to my attitude issue. You need to have the attitude. Don't wait for a company to train you. It's your job to train yourself. And this comes back to curiosity, the word you mentioned in the beginning. And this is what I think we need to regain, this curiosity. This I want to try it out. In German, we say Lust. Lust is a great term for passion and curiosity combined. I want to try something out because I'm interested in it. And if we get this, then training happens by yourself. And you want it, you go after it. You're not waiting for the next Coursera training that the company offers to you and you're disappointed that you don't get trained. This is your job. And as a human being, it should be in your interests, right? In your curiosity.
I like that. So reignite your curiosity in order to stay ahead of the game with the technology. I like that very much. Let's look ahead then. What is it that you are most excited when you look maybe for the next 5 years in mobility? What's going to happen in automotive mobility in general?
I mean, it's the options. I was thinking a lot about autonomous driving and all those things. Like, what would that mean to me? I like to drive sometimes, not always. So I was at I was in San Francisco 3 weeks ago. The first time I took Waymo, and I didn't take Uber anymore because I loved it so much. I took Waymo, but there are moments where I want to drive. So suddenly you get all the options. In 5 years, we will have the option to say, to go from A to B on a business trip, I take a self-driving vehicle. To go out with my wife on the weekend in the mountains near Munich, I love to drive my car, right?
Mm-hmm.
And having those options. And what I also think is it's going to be tailored to me. Right now, to be honest, I have to go to a dealership to buy a car. Why is that so? I'm in the market. Whoever listens to the podcast, I'm in the market for a new car. I'm inviting everyone to make me an offer. No one does. I'm the one who has to go to all the vendors. I'm not mentioning any brand. I'm the one who has to push the sales guy to sell me a car, or I do it online on an app. I'm the one. Why me? Right? So in the future, it's tailored around me, and I don't have to initiate it. I can select, I can pick, and I can enjoy. Today, I have to be the one doing everything. I hate that, to be really honest. And I think this is the big opportunity that is in front of us.
And in order to make those journey something that is by use case, as you mentioned, it's not just you buy a car and then you have to stick with whatever the convenience of that vehicle model provides you, no matter if it's a short trip or long trip. You have a big car in cities, you have a challenge to find parking space, etc. What you're saying is let's build the ecosystem around it that you always have the best choice for whatever you are up to in that moment.
Exactly. And the choice is brought to you. You don't chase the choice. It's brought to you, right? Because
proactive.
it knows you. The system in quotation marks, the system, whatever it is, knows you and learns about you. What Giuseppe really needs and wants at this moment and proposes, and you can choose, right? So I think that's, and a side remark, I mean, that's not new. Years ago already, I worked for a software company, you mentioned it. We proposed it to several OEMs. Then you hear, we are all doing that. And then you go to a dealership and you see, no, maybe in their dreams and they think about it, but fact is today it's not happening. And that's, I think, a great future in front of us because it's a super opportunity for everyone involved.
Yeah. Has there been anything that you have been worried, or maybe as we talk about the future, is there anything that worries you or you think that keep you up at night or kept you up at night during your days in the mobility companies when you think of all your journey and also into the future?
It's FOMO, I think, fear of missing out. So if the industry, and especially in Europe, is not being careful, not taking care of, especially how to use technology to push the boundaries and to really inspire customers. If that's not happening, the industry will miss the boat. And given the importance of the industry, the impact on economy and society, it's unthinkable. So there needs to be a tremendous wake up. And I mean an honest one, not in a newspaper or in an interview, a real wake up where you see action. I think this worries me, right? And I'm an optimistic person, but I need to be convinced. And I'm not convinced right now that all the lights have gone on. So this is something that wakes me up in the night and thinking about our children at a very young age. They should be in a country and on a continent in a world where there's enough prosperity and enough jobs and this is something that is really keeping my mind up.
Yeah, thank you. And you talked about children, so next generation, and this is my last question to you. If there was anything that you could whisper into a young person entering the industry of mobility, automotive, what would it be that you would say if those folks would emulate the steps, the career paths that you had?
Wow. Good question. I mean, maybe two things I mentioned already. One is make sure you execute whatever you do, because this is how you are measured in automotive industry, probably more than in any other, because you're stuck in a process model in factories and assets. So execution is important. At the same time, super curious, being and finding the spots that are open and white spaces. And the third thing is actually three: love for technology, especially information technology. You don't have to program, but see where you can apply it to have an impact. Find those areas, and this combination is killer. I would say the industry right now, 95% of people do not have that combination, only 5. You want to be with those 5%, right? That basically have the spark and the curiosity, love for technology, and finding constantly those areas, because that's how we differentiate.
And Formula One is still around, so if you're close to it, listen to it. That goes back to your childhood, that ignited your passion for automotive and later on IT. Martin, I have to say, big thank you for you. A lot of thought-provoking statements, which I'm sure folks who are following Moving Minds will appreciate. Maybe we will have a great discussion about these type of topics that you shared with other guests. And again, this is exactly why we're doing Moving Minds. It's exactly those insights. It's those type of conversation that we're keen to have, sharing your perspective, your journey on the topics that matters most in our industry. And with that, again, thank you very much, and up to the next episode.
Thank you, Giuseppe. It's a pleasure.
If today's conversation offered a new perspective on what drives mobility, we'd love for you to follow the series, share it, and tell us your thoughts. You'll find more episodes with the people shaping what's next. One question, one insight, one decision at a time. Until next time, keep moving forward.